we can pull the tough love card and be like, get over it. Get over yourself.
They need to get over it.
I mean, I do tend to agree. I think that's really what it comes down to at a certain level for any platform is like, yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's going to change, and that's going to make it hard again. So get over it.
Yeah.
Well, it's more like it's not get over it. Like, figure out how you can enjoy it. Like, you started off in a bedroom or a garage,
We've talked about
tinkering away for hours.
Yep.
Get back to it, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast brought to you by Entrepreneur.io.
What's up, Indies? Welcome back to the Creative Juice podcast. I am one of your hosts, Circa, and with me is Jack and Corinne of the Entrepreneur team. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Yeah. We're here.
Yeah.
We're present.
Super
We
duper
made it.
excited to be here in the same room.
I'm just proving it there. And so we're everyone's in town for like a team meeting week just to like get organized, get all the let out, talk about future plans for the next year. Lots of exciting stuff coming, but it was a great opportunity for us to all sit down and have a live podcast, which is dope. First time ever, I think.
Yeah, man.
So we're here to talk about artist websites. We've now moved out of copywriting month, and now we're in website design month. For a lot of our indies in the group is like long overdue. They've been like, "What do I use?" and all this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, especially because I think we've talked a lot of crap about.
Other website builders. and
Yeah,
stuff.
we've basically been like, "This is crap. This is crap."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, then what should I build on?"
To quote the pivotal band Real Big Fish, when it comes to website design, everything sucks.
Everything sucks.
And you
for
just got to
sure.
figure out what sucks the least.
Yeah.
But I figured in this episode we could just go over what we think the components of a great artist website is, especially in 2019 in the digital era, and what we think it needs or what we'd like to see in an artist website, which will provide us like a framework for in future episodes this month to talk about what platforms are sorely missing which elements, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think right off the bat, like a great builder, I wanted to talk a little bit about, just because like when web started off, it was very difficult to like code together great looking websites. And now we have drag and drop builders with pretty much every platform. But what do you guys like to see in a builder?
Oh man. I mean, I think I don't love drag and drop in that it's hardly ever truly drag and drop.
Yeah.
Right? To be honest, like something that really frustrates me is that Wix's builder, just the builder. Like I'm talking about user. Look at Cirque's face. He's like,
I'll
shoot
buy
me
it
right now.
I'll buy it. It's
Dude.
so limited that there has to be some reason.
I'm saying no. Yeah, there's something about
Yeah.
like you literally can drop anything anywhere. There's
Yeah.
not these blocks like Squarespace has, right?
And every other builder is like blocks. Yeah.
Right. And like all of these templates that comes with like these video backdrops and stuff are all super compressed small imagery. And the mobile editor, you can make the mobile version and responsive versions of your site. You can control a lot more of it than you can with other drop and drag. What you see is what you get kind of builders.
Yeah. WYSIWYG.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So I like that in the builder if everything else about Wix weren't complete and utter crap. Like
Yeah.
but like there otherwise nothing is truly drop and drag besides Wix.
Yeah. So
You
you're
know?
saying in a builder, you would like true put anything anywhere flexibility.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason why a builder can't calculate how many pixels or the EM that I want this to reflect
Yeah.
on different devices as I build it.
Are there drawbacks there with responsiveness? Like,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and which is why Wix has this like manual editor so that it doesn't have to code into the platform adjustments for you. You know, like Squarespace is kind of like, okay, this is how it looks, and you can switch to mobile view, but any change you make in the mobile viewer or in the web viewer changes both of them. Whereas
Right.
Wix lets them be a little bit independent of each other, but it also means that you're responsible for doing that.
Right.
Whereas Squarespace kind of does it for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so it takes some of the like some people just don't realize like, oh, there's a mobile version that I should make sure is not totally jacked, you know?
Right.
So I think that would be cool, and is probably the biggest reason why I ever even gave Wix 5 seconds of my time and now get Google ads for Wix every 5 seconds.
Right.
Is because I went there once and tested out some of their stuff. So yeah, I think like if it was true drop and drag and had like control to change your mobile and tablet versions, that would be fly.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Is that what you want in a builder, is true drag and drop?
Yeah, I think that having that flexibility is what I would like to see, because so often you go into a builder and you're limited to, I mean, you're just limited to what you can really do. What your brain can cook up doesn't match what you can do
in the builder
with your hands. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I would totally agree with all that.
Yeah, I find that compared to ClickFunnels, I really like working in Thrive Architect just because, and also like compared to like Cornerstone, there's like, these are all WordPress builders. So you got like Beaver Builder, Cornerstone, Divi or Elementor. I think they're the same thing.
Yeah.
And then Thrive Architect.
I'm not an Elementor fan, man. I've worked with their
I'm not a huge fan
blocks.
of Cornerstone either.
I don't really like Cornerstone
And
or
I like
Elementor,
Thrive for fine tuning. Like I can break a lot of rules that are supposed to be like hard rules of web design in order to get it to look exactly how I want it to look.
Yeah.
So I think, flexibility in the builder is huge for an artist website, especially because artists are going to be designing these themselves. Time-saving templates, it's like, that's going to help, right?
I think one thing about like, and I think, you know, if you're not an Indie Pro member, I'm not trying to sell Pro right now, but in the group, just this week, Cirque was like, okay, I'm doing Chris Cannon's site. I'm looking at Kendrick Lamar's site because he said he likes that website.
Right.
And like, that's inspo, right? And I think that that's something that a lot of people need these templates for more, is that they need the inspo.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, so like having these templates is not necessarily a good thing because it doesn't teach. If you're going to design the site and not pay someone to build it,
if you're going to say it teaches you bad habits, I would go the other way. And
no, I'm not saying it teaches you bad habits.
Okay.
I'm saying that it doesn't push you to create something that is creative.
I get that.
It puts so much in place for you, which is why.
But it does start cluing you into the building blocks of something that's creative.
Yeah, and if I wanted that, I'd sign up for a website design class.
Right.
And so I think like I go to half the indies in our group who are on Squarespace, and I know it's built on the Horizon template. I see it every time. It's the same Sans Pro.
I see an indie website that's not on a template. I'm like, you should have gone with the template. You should have. It would have been better.
Yeah, true. So I think that that's some of the template stuff is like, it's to be there for inspiration, but if you lean on it too hard, you end up having a not very good site. It definitely shouldn't be
like the main selling point of which website platform you use.
Right. Yeah.
Template.
They got dope templates. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It helps.
Yeah.
And people don't use it enough, I feel like.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize how customizable these templates really are.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like, this is so close. I'm just going to put my name and my pictures and it's good. You know, and it's like, no, like do something with it.
And I would say within Builder, it's like, I need full Builder. I don't need I can build what's under this massive unnecessary page header that's stock on every page.
Yeah.
And that happens. Like there's tons of music websites you can buy right now. I'm not going to name any names, but that are like a lot of their templates and their styles come with like huge headers. So like being able to control above the fold super granularly. So when someone lands on my page, I can show them exactly what I want them to see and nothing unnecessary.
Well, that real estate's so important.
Yeah.
So like to not have complete control over that to me is a deal breaker.
And to have like the control wrested away from you in order to put like a gigantic image of the band is stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, especially when it's like it applies to the whole site. I think is a couple of the tools.
It's a site-wide header, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, a site-wide header never is right. I mean, I'm trying to think in my mind as I say it.
Landing pages. You should be able to make
right.
None of the site styles apply to this page.
But also, like as a person who wants to build a site for anything, what product or company ever
needs a
needs a
gigantic header.
site-wide header like that? I don't think that's something that anyone would ever want on all their pages. So like,
Well, you're
why
talking
is
about
that in
an
there?
image header, not like menu.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm talking about these big old
100%.
Yeah.
like
Totally agree. Yeah.
it's like it's like a legal notepad. Like it's got the top always, but it's half the page.
Yeah.
Like why would you buy a notepad like that?
Yeah. And then
So-
after building and templates for pages and being able to build anything on any page.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, this is my homepage, sure, but can I remove the menu? Can I do
Right.
certain things?
Yeah.
Like that's important. And then opt-in functionality.
Right.
So first of all,
100%.
does it have forms? Can you put a form on a page, anywhere on a page? Can you control the way the form looks and what it says and the colors and the shadows?
Right.
Can you have it left justified or right justified? That's all like design stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these platforms, they're like, oh, this is what your opt-in form looks like.
Right. Like
you happy?
MailChimp.
Here's a form.
Yeah.
Yeah. MailChimp sign up forms. Like if you know HTML, you can screw the HTML.
You can fuck with the CSS.
Yeah, and like go crazy. But like, let's assume that most people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Their sign up form is dog balls ugly. There's like 6 font options.
Yeah,
So you're
totally.
never gonna embed and just don't ever embed it because all of the things that are unlocked by your CRM / mailing provider, which is like tags and groups, cannot be controlled from MailChimp like native sign up forms.
Yeah.
So yeah, like having something in like the biggest problem I have with some of Wix's stuff, Weebly's stuff, is that their lead forms do not connect or integrate with
Yeah.
a lot of the things I want. And I can't make it then do what I want. Like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
my biggest problem with
So back end as well.
forms. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I would say that just to cap off like the design end of it, like where people convert, so where people go from one stage of the buddy system to the next, where they go from listener to subscriber, where they go from subscriber to customer, is like a black hole of like website behavior.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
like you can't learn much about physics from just like empty space. But if you study a black hole, you can learn everything we know about physics pretty rapidly because there's so much activity.
Right.
And on an opt-in form, you like the color of your background on your website. Who knows what's right? But the color of a button on an opt-in form, or the right like text, or the right like should it have rounded corners or not? That provides measurable changes to the rate at which people go
Yeah.
through it.
Yep.
You know.
Most stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being able to control that is super important. And then the back end, does it integrate with everything? And also, I have a weird thing. And does it integrate with that?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
think so many adjustments I've made in my tech stack over the years has been exactly around integration more than anything else, actually.
Yeah, for
more than the
sure.
design ease or anything. It's like, can I do the things that need to happen? Because the website exists for a purpose and it's not vain in its
Right.
function.
Yeah.
Like it's functional. It needs to be. Fortunately, I don't know why. That's just something that was apparent and important to me from the get-go. Even my MySpace, I coded in crap into my MySpace that was accomplishing the things I wanted a website to do
Right.
with PayPal buttons and shit,
Yeah.
So, like, for some reason, that was something that was important, and I have a high appreciation for. I'll make total changes to my tech stack because these things talk to each other either seamlessly, like an integration, or like it's a pretty easy, reasonable thing, so that things happen and aren't clunky.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think, and I think that that's going to become even more prevalent, like exponentially so, that we're going to want the tech that we use to talk to each other. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
that's
most
not at the forefront of your brain in 2019, you're not thinking.
Right.
I'm a little on the other end of it. Like I like Zaps because they're like puzzles, but like not any that you can get on your phone. Like you have
Right.
to actually be smart to
yeah.
solve them.
Yeah.
You know
Like
what I mean?
logic steps.
Yeah. And so that part of it, like I'm attracted to that. So if it integrates like naturally and natively, like I have a form here, it submits everything I want to MailChimp, right down to like custom fields. I can tell if they're male or female. I can tell what their shirt size is, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's nice for me, but it's not like a deal breaker.
Oh, for sure. I mean, even at Indepreneur, we use Thrive Leads, right, for our lead forms,
Right.
which let us know. And Thrive Leads is great as a tool for that because it lets us do a lot of things in groups and whatever.
Yeah.
But like our member plugin, Member Mouse, is like, this is how we communicate to Member Mouse, and this is how we communicate to MailChimp, and
Right.
that's your only option. So it like created like merge field tags confirming purchases or confirming membership levels, which is not a practical way for us to use that or have that communicated.
Right.
Merge field, you can't send a segment by merge field like reasonably. Like groups and segments and tags make more sense. So, and that's the way MailChimp's intended.
So, like, and anyone who's listening is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm sorry.
This is like how specific it can get when you're choosing email provider and where you get your email subscribers from.
Right.
Like it comes down to like, this is how I use my email provider, and the way that this thing talks to my email provider doesn't let me use it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make that, like, if it doesn't do it natively the way I want, it has to connect to Zapier.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, because frightening things can happen. I mean, we've seen frightening things happen at the agency where when something's not talking the way that we want it to, all of a sudden you have a list that's all kinds of screwed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's definitely a challenge. So I agree with you there. I don't necessarily, like native integration is happy for me, but also like ClickFunnels natively integrates with MailChimp.
ClickFunnels does not natively integrate.
They say it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so like at that point, I choose a different provider simply because it natively was with MailChimp, but ClickFunnels does what I want? Like, no. Like,
It has to be a list of other things that accompany it.
It's all weighted. You know what I mean?
I mean, and I kind of include Zapier in this conversation because, like, the triggers and
it's
the
magic.
responses that you
And
have.
it's getting better.
Well,
it was awesome before, and like I still haven't even used how it's getting better.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
sure.
is when you're looking at platforms, looking at the triggers and the responses that you have in Zapier related to that's just as important as looking at native integrations.
Yeah,
because
for
if
sure.
Zapier can't do the thing that you want it to do
Right.
with the given tool that you're using, then you're even more out of luck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, that's so true.
And I've run into that issue too many times to count.
Yeah, where you're using like multis that like, okay, I'm going to shoot it to Google Sheets to send an email and then using an email parser to connect to this because it wouldn't connect otherwise.
Yeah.
Like Zapier, I kind of like, it makes me tremble in my boots to think about like how we would live life without Zapier. You know what I mean? Like, think if it didn't exist.
Zapier, it's the glue.
It would be the worst thing ever. So let's think about a world, like the world without Zapier. What does that even look like for us right now?
We wouldn't be able to do any of our finance like tracking,
Yeah.
and none of our email stuff would work.
Yeah. None of our members and our email provider wouldn't talk to each other.
Yeah.
On an agency level.
Yep.
It'd be game changing. So
And I think people get all huffy and puffy about like, I have to get this other thing to do this thing. And it's like, yeah, that sucks if it doesn't work.
if
You know what I
somebody
mean?
is
Like,
telling you that they can do all the things, like be highly suspect of that. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
like it shouldn't be good at all the things.
Yeah, this has been a conversation in recent weeks for sure.
Yeah, like well, especially because Mailchimp is like, oh, we're all the things, and it's like, yeah, but you suck at 90% of them, so maybe just do the thing you're good at.
not good.
Well, speaking of MailChimp, a world without Zapier would mean ClickFunnels and MailChimp would not talk to each other, so one of them would have to go.
Yeah, for sure. So you know what? Like, let me retract that. Above design, like this is partly back end, but like if something did not link with Zapier, which by the way, 90% of Wix apps do not, then it's an Ixnay. Because Zapier will then be able to do everything I want, but if it doesn't connect with Zapier, it probably doesn't connect with much.
Right. So for a great builder, you're eliminating, like ClickFunnels is a usable builder, but I wouldn't call it great.
I don't think it's a site builder.
Anyways,
I don't
ClickFunnels
consider it.
is
I don't
eliminated.
consider it a web. No. It's a builder. I'm just saying, like, I don't see ClickFunnels as a website solution.
I understand where you're coming from.
Like, it's a lead page and a direct cart.
I don't see such a hard distinction between website and set of pages, though. I think it's not a useful distinction to draw.
It's not invalid.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't help anyone.
I'm thinking about like, so, okay, say not in its function, but in its pricing model.
Sure. Yeah.
Not reasonable for a website if you want more than 10 pages.
But it is if you're talking about a website with a cart. But we're getting in the weeds here. I just mean to say that ClickFunnels is out for that reason. Squarespace, I would argue, is out for that reason.
Squarespace is out for what reason?
For Builder.
Nah, Squarespace ain't out.
I think it's out for Builder. And then does it work with Zapier? Wix is out.
Yes. No, Squarespace does. It works for all of them.
Let's not defend Squarespace.
Okay,
I'm saying
fine.
all things get eliminated by these sets of criteria.
Word, okay.
Not the least of which. So we've got opt-in design and then opt-in functionality. And does it talk to things? And then there's, do you want to sell products on your website? Which every artist should want to sell products on your website.
Right. If you're listening to this and that isn't important to you,
Right.
you don't need to listen to us.
If you're listening to this and you're that's not in your periphery, you need to go back and listen to the podcast episode where Cirque and I were talking about is selling evil.
That's a good one.
Right.
Go back and
Yeah.
refer to
Yeah.
that podcast.
But
Or chase labels for the rest of your life.
that said, you need to be able to partake in commerce on your website. There's two ways to do this. You can have a store where people show up and they find the thing that they want and they add it to their cart and they're like, I'm ready, let's do it. And they buy it.
Right.
And that's great if you have a large volume of fans who you don't need to sell over and over again because they're just used to buying stuff from you.
Sure.
Most artists aren't there. And therefore, you probably need something that limits confusion at the point of purchase, offer, or checkout, which ClickFunnels does very, very nicely. Shopify's pretty bad at this. They give you a lot of options, a lot of different variants of each option, and the sales pages are garbage. And they're not easy to customize. Shopify, you need to add a builder. So I say that to say that like none of the options are perfect.
Truth.
Yeah.
None of them.
For sure.
ClickFunnels is great for offering like one product or a set of products in a series.
Yeah.
Which limits people's focus and they don't have to worry about black or white or, this or that. It's just like, no, this one offer.
Right.
Buy it or leave. And that makes a lot more people buy than otherwise would have.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Well, like the average e-com store, right? Like if you go on Shopify, it'll say like average for your industry of conversion, which means people who are on your site and people who buy from your site.
Right.
Is like 2 to 3%.
Yeah.
And for funnels, we're saying like what? We want to see 10.
Yeah.
We've seen as high as 20s.
Yeah, and it's better.
You
Like
know?
no one's gonna browse around your ClickFunnel.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
So
either going to do
there's-
it or not do it.
And people get like, people are like, do I just send people to my ClickFunnel? We were talking about how people call it a ClickFunnel.
Oh,
but-
yeah. It's totally a ClickFunnel.
Yeah, but do I send people to my funnel or what? And it's like, no. Like,
Yeah.
if it's part of the campaign you're running, right?
Right,
So
right.
there's a confusion there where it's like, do I keep sending people through my funnels? Do I build another funnel? Or should I just build a full website and have them browse my store? It's like hard to know which. So ideally, we would have a platform that has like a great builder, native opt-in functionality, completely designable forms. I don't need a special page to put the form on it. I can just
Right.
put a form as like a content block anywhere on any page.
Yep.
I can put it in the footer, the header. I could put it off on the left of the screen where they can't see and they have to resize the window to see it. Like I could do anything.
Yeah.
That would be ideal.
Oh, so in other words, though, that's also like independent design.
Yes.
Pages, which is where templates fuck you, right? So, beep. Sorry.
That's fine. I say fuck all the time.
Okay. I don't know. But like being that, and sorry to sideline, but that's something that does make ClickFunnels very different because these templates, right? They're like, this is the footer on all your pages. Whereas in ClickFunnels, you can duplicate a page and then make it a completely different footer that's relevant
Ideally,
to that
you would
conversation.
have not only the duplicate function, but you could set a page as a page template. And now we're starting to talk about like Thrive Architect, Thrive Themes territory,
Well.
Elementor, and things like that. Divi, Bear Builder,
Well,
or
I
Beaver
think the
Builder.
footer for a pro member, for example, should be totally different from someone who's like never heard of us before.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
there should always be an opportunity there for them to elevate to the next thing, even though in theory that's happening on the page. But even footer context could be more relevant.
On a sales page, I don't want to have to CSS hide the footer every time. I want to be able to just put, this is sales page footers.
Yeah.
They don't have much links because we don't want people going other places.
Right.
Or this is an opt-in page footer. So being able to control all that. And then lastly, being able to either put a store cart version of offering products or a single product checkout with upsell pages. So basically if someone checks out, whether they're checking out with a cart and a full bunch of like items they added or something I was offering to them directly in like a one-off landing page, I can add upsells. So like their credit card doesn't register it until they're done with my upsell process.
That's the thing that I don't love about some of the more linear sales processes, like ClickFunnels, is that it's like different charges at each level. And I get why that's probably a legal thing. Like they have to do it. Like somebody authorized this purchase right now. Like basically like delaying that authorization, is that legal? I don't know. You know, if it like they're like, yeah, I want to buy this thing, and they press the buy button, like they could leave the next page open for 30 minutes before they continue on. Should they just hold their payment information in the meantime, not clear that card? Like, so I get it, but I don't love that there's separate charges and separate invoicing and separate whatever. Like, it's just clunky on the user end. It's not like a deal breaker though.
Yeah.
But in theory, if something could kind of save them through the process,
that would be amazing.
And then do a one charge.
Yeah.
Then it brings in like the cool stuff about the cart, but has the linear function of like a ClickFunnels.
And then I should be able to, just like I drag and drop build any part of any page, drag and drop build any part of any like checkout block.
Right.
And have all these settings for it.
Yeah.
And that would be fire. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm making a builder for musicians, it's what you're talking about, you're wrong. You're not right. Don't email me about it. So
there's so many people out there trying already. Like development is expensive.
Yeah.
You know, like it's one of those things too where like I'm all about free market, you know, and I want competition in the market, but part of me is like, I don't want the market filled with like 80% crap things that are trying to like go for niche markets. Like, oh, we're for musicians because we can't compete with ManyChat, so we're going to make this other thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and
Thrive
we're
was
for
built
musicians.
for companies that are clearing like 7 figures every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's industry standard, but it's not crazy out of the box budget wise.
It doesn't cost a lot of money. Right. Yeah.
So there's tools like that, I think, in almost every solution.
And then to kind of compile all this, so we've talked about, we want the design. We want to be able to choose to either have pages be just on an island design and functionality wise, or be part of a larger integrated system of pages.
Right.
We've talked about opt-in forms and having them communicate with any email marketing platform. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about the 2 different types of buying products on a website and how we'd love to be able to just do both with upsells.
Right.
Please, someone in the world. So
hear us.
Yeah.
So with that said, how does all that go into an ideal artist website? What's like need to haves on the homepage?
Let's not forget data tracking, because there are a lot of things that can do a lot of the things we just said, but then like every product is in a light box and you don't have product specific view content.
I should be able to not only,
you know,
totally.
all that stuff.
Now, that said, with Google Tag Manager, I don't need that as much anymore, because I can like, you know what I mean? Like I can have, if I can put Google Tag Manager on the entire website, I'm kind of good, but the average indie might not be, because it's a lot of
but if a light box is the only way to view a product.
Oh, totally. Yeah, no.
You're either having to basically fire view content for all the products when they land on the page.
Yeah.
Or not have any.
There should be no difference between the amount of build functionality I have building a page as I do a checkout page.
Right.
It should be the exact same.
Yeah, you should be able to track like a lot of so anyway, sorry, I just have to comment that because some of these lightbox formats essentially like they don't open another link.
Right.
You can't make something fire.
It makes it
even
murder
with
for
GTM.
tracking. Yeah.
Even with GTM, you can't fire a view product on a lightbox. in some of these
You
formats.
could if you knew code.
Well,
but then, like, yeah.
But
if you knew
then
code.
why,
getting
then
out of
why
the
are we even
realm of-
talking?
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
create a website that does all these things.
Totally. No, totally. And
Hire
so,
a developer for $25K. Done.
that said, a lot of artist websites don't even have an opt-in above the fold
Right.
by choice.
Yeah.
A lot of artist websites have the most awful shopping experience that could be had.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I think like what I want to see when I go to audit a homepage, like if we're doing like who did this or something like that, where we're just auditing,
Which is my favorite thing.
it's the best. I
That
love
whole line is my
love
favorite.
doing it.
More of those.
But so if I go to a website and I see that there's an opt-in above the fold, I'm already thrilled. Much better if that opt-in is a specific offer.
Yeah.
It's not like get updates.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
ever type get updates onto a website.
And then
nobody
not,
wants it.
And then not update them. That's the
Right.
bifold. of,
Kendrick
like,
Lamar has get updates. He never emails. And then there's a checkbox.
I would say 90% of musicians have get updates and don't update.
If you go to Kendrick Lamar's website right now and you try to opt in, it says checkbox for Kendrick Lamar and a checkbox for IGA, which is Interscope, Geffen, A&M. So you're auto-checked to get emails from their fucking record
Yeah,
label.
absolutely.
And they're never going to send you any.
You know,
anyway.
from a consumer perspective, like we browse tons of websites every single day, not just music websites.
Right.
So when I go to an artist website and I see get updates, I'm like, well, what kind of update? What is that? What?
About
what is
what?
that? What is that?
Like,
what
are
are you
you
going to
signing new
update? What are you going to
artists?
update
Like-
me about?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. How is
And-
that specific? What does that matter to me?
Right.
How is that relevant to me?
Right.
Updates on, let's just take an average, let's take an indie band from Texas. I'm in Washington, D.C. If I browse to their website and it says get updates, well, if they're a band that's playing regionally, they sure as hell better not be sending me tour updates
Oh, that's
when they're
like-
not coming anywhere near me.
right.
Also, like there's a vagueness to these offers that are like, I don't know when I'm gonna get updates. I don't know what's gonna happen after I put my email in here. And it's probably nothing terrible, but it's also probably not something sick either.
Right.
And to be very clear, like an opt-in that's just super clear, like when you enter this in, something dope is gonna happen. Here's exactly what is gonna happen.
Right.
An
Yeah.
offer. So that's like huge, and that takes opt-in functionality, customizable opt-in functionality, and granular control over what happens after someone opts in. Yeah. And that's all made all the more easy if we can build like a custom thank you page that they go right to.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's like, so when we start looking at all those things, I think that's where a lot of indies just start to feel really overwhelmed. It's like, okay, I have to consider 15 things, right? And
Right.
as soon as I commit to one thing, I'm going to find the other thing I wanted to use that doesn't work with that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so like we constantly have people asking us what to do. And I think something that we didn't really touch on that, listen, I'm sympathetic to the artist that does not want to know how to web design, And so
No.
having something that is super easy to update, like, so even if you pay someone for a custom developer site or like go super bougie with it, it's still, you have to ensure that the developer understands that you're going to be sending them feeds from things, and like it's easy for you to update without hiring that developer at $125 an hour to update it for you.
This is the thing. Besides a new design or a new product, what would you update?
Every campaign.
But what would you update?
I would update the forms and the triggers coming off of that form. Like
Right.
what automations are triggered.
Oh, you mean like with a new campaign, like a new
Yeah,
offer,
and
a
you
new-
should be running
Gotcha.
campaigns and like email campaigns and ad campaigns
Yeah.
and ManyChat campaigns. Your site should be flexing to the thing that you're trying to do right now. And if you don't have an easy way to kind of just flip a switch,
Is there
after
one
you've-
though? Can it be done
Yeah.
to just be like, oh, new campaign, change everything?
Squarespace
What
does
do you
it.
mean?
Well, or ClickFunnels, like change the link in the button.
But it's a cascading series of tasks you'll have to do.
In theory, yeah. But I mean, like there are sites that you cannot make easy changes to because they are inflexible and artists,
Yeah.
like you'd have to know code to do it,
Right.
So
Yeah.
like that's another thing I look at in a builder, especially when I'm designing a site for an artist,
Yeah.
at the X level. I'm like, okay, they're not going to have me forever. So what is something I can give them an easy, like 1, 2, 3, these are the things that you can adjust that don't really require any knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
You know?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, because you don't want it to have it like your website is something that's etched in stone and that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah,
static.
it should be fluid.
Yeah, fluid.
So that's something that's important, I think, whether you're doing it yourself. Like in theory, I've learned how to do things in ClickFunnels, but I'm not proficient. And so like that knowledge ages on me because I'm not in it enough.
Right.
So in theory, a lot of these artists who build a site, they might get hip to it and be smart and lay it all out, and then they leave. And when they come back to update something, they're like, and if it's too complicated a tool, they'll forget.
I'm in a position where I don't spend nearly as much time on platforms as I used to. Every time I come back to like touch back up on a platform or do something, it's a completely different UI. There's
not Thrive though. You're in WordPress and Thrive
I'm in
every day.
Thrive pretty frequently. Yeah. But
so
like MailChimp, I'm in less. Like Facebook ads, I'm in less.
Yeah.
But I would say that like it's not familiarity with the tool that you should seek. It's familiarity with just tool sets in general and knowing how to like, okay, here's everything that's familiar, like coming into Facebook ads and running like a new campaign test, which I hadn't done in like months, you know, and trying out all the new features and just being like, here's everything that's familiar. So we'll put that aside. What's weird?
Yeah. As if it weren't enough that your knowledge of a platform ages, they're also making updates every 5 flipping seconds.
Yeah.
So
But that's going to get faster, not slower. So like definitely
that's true.
If you're in the game of like trying to eke out ease of use, that's a shrinking commodity. Like, you know what I mean?
But
like,
it's a fact. It's just a fact though. You know, musicians, like half the musicians listening to this right now are like, but I'm not a web designer. Half of them are. So if ease of use is not a concern, like, are we just being unrealistic for a solution and like an actual solution?
I don't know, like guitars aren't easy to use though. And like interfaces aren't easy to use.
And so we can do that. We can pull the tough love card and be like, get over it. Get over yourself.
They need to get over it.
I mean, I do tend to agree. I think that's really what it comes down to at a certain level for any platform is like, yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's going to change, and that's going to make it hard again. So get over it.
Yeah. Well, it's more like it's not get over it. Like figure out how you can enjoy it. Like you started off in a bedroom or garage,
we've talked about
tinkering away for hours.
Yeah.
Get back to it, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
But I think like this stuff's all getting better. So even as it's getting more intimidating, it's getting easier to use.
I agree.
It's just more intimidating because there's just such a large feature set.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point, actually, that things are far easier to use. It's just intimidating because you're looking at all the things.
Yeah.
Like, just quit looking at all the things. Like, even Indie Founder, which is running right now, I'm like, all right, we're going to look at this one thing for this week. You know, here's your assignment. And like, but I could, like, should I do this? And they're trying to think about things out of this silo of attention. I'm like, just put your attention right here to get the minimum done for this assignment. Don't worry about the other things that are going to come into the fact later.
Right.
Get this thing under your belt because it'll make all these other things easier because you have comprehensive understanding. And so I think like that's a really good point. Like whatever platform you choose, eventually, like you're just going to need a level of mastery to it, and maybe don't get distracted by all the features of what they have. Just see if it has the bare minimum, which is kind of why we're having this conversation now.
There's kind of like 2 frameworks that I kind of picture in my mind with it. Like one analogy is the analogy of a musician that's, you know, learning how to play their instrument. In the beginning, they are tackling material that is super, you know, easy to a professional would look at it and say, oh, that guy's learning how to play guitar. He's learning a 3-chord song.
Right.
And then 15 years, 20 years later, he's tackling, you know, virtuoso classical guitar pieces.
Or 15, 20 years later, he's making a 3-chord song on the other end.
Yeah, exactly.
This is more often the case.
So there's that kind of growth where it's like you're going the direction of you're going to continue to be challenged as you're leveling up, whether you're being challenged by the first thing that you were learning in a new way or you're just tackling something harder. I also like the analogy of like a music producer, production equipment, gear
is way harder than this stuff.
And it's been changing. It's been changing rapidly for a very long time.
Right.
And the people that have stayed current and good and solid, for one, they have a foundation in understanding what they're using, what they're doing. You know, they know core concepts, which I think kind of just brings us back to marketing framework in general and understanding marketing principles, so that when you're looking at the tech, whether it's different than it was 6 months ago, you still have an idea, like the core of what you're trying to do with it hasn't changed just because it's changed.
Right.
And then along with that, you're challenging yourself to grow into being better.
But aren't we conflicting with ourselves? Because we just said if someone's like trying to be all the things, they're probably not the right tool.
Right.
So aren't we encouraging
but we're talking
musicians?
about humans. Humans are capable because platforms are not capable of adaptation at the rate that humans are. You know, like human can pick up anything, you know, like pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
I guess if you're in a place like, it's the same thing we say about like management, I suppose. You know, like go ahead and like try to get a manager, but that manager is not going to do like magic for you.
I genuinely feel like if you're the type of, not the type of person, but if you're in a space in your life where you're willing to say, I just need something, I don't need it to be awesome. It's like you're going to lose. You're not going to do good.
I agree.
100%. Like you're not going to do good. Like like you don't have to be the best.
It's so funny because like I would never tell myself, no, it's hard and you can't be all the things. And I understand. I don't tell myself that. I never told myself that. All the albums I've ever moved were never because I said that. You know what I mean? The different jobs I've had were never because I was like, well, I don't really, this isn't my expertise. Like it was never that.
I don't need to be sick of this.
I know, but I just have empathy, I guess. Like
the kids, there's a kid I know who's killing it right now with Spotify, and it's because he just sits down and does it every day. He's not like, you know, like it's not like he's like the fucking alien with the gigantic brain. He's like, I know Spotify works. Like he just sat down and he wanted to do it and he figured it out better than a lot of people.
Right.
And I feel like
we still don't think you should worry too much about Spotify.
Disclaimer.
Yeah. But like, it's something we don't particularly like it because it's very difficult to track and measure. And there is a way, it's just super hard and time consuming. And he did
There's
it
not
the hard
a way, literally.
and time consuming way. Yeah. I mean, it's not exact, but it's like you can start to infer. All I mean to say is that like humans are capable of extraordinary things that you never would have thought right before they did them that they could do them. So
well, I'm sorry for the existential aside. I just it's one of those things where I get the argument where people are like, I can't be everything for everyone,
and I get that too. I think we're walking like a fine human line between trying to find too ideal of a platform and people who just aren't willing to flex.
I think I want to find the person who's like, I'll fucking figure it out. And then give them the easiest thing that can possibly be given to them.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't want that easy thing to go to someone who's like, I need it to be easy. It's like, you're not gonna succeed at this.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a bad sign out the gate.
Well, it's almost like, did we somewhere communicate along the line? Like, because here's the thing. Can digital marketing be accessible to non-label musicians? Like, can you do it
Digital
yourself?
marketing is accessible to grandmas who want to start knitting companies.
Exactly.
And has been to the tune of 7 figures a year.
Well, absolutely right. And so I think that has been maybe miscommunicated into like everyone can also be a musician and like apply this formula and you will be successful. And it's like, no, you'll be successful if you're fucking hungry. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're hungry, you learn how to build a website.
Also, the longer that you believe that you suck, the better. Because when you start saying like, I'm fucking sick at this, like you're probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep,
exactly.
so true.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think there's also a level of, I think I wrote this on one of the blog posts on our website, was like, a lot of musicians take the ethic of like DIY, do it yourself, right? But that doesn't mean you have to do it alone. So like,
Right.
okay, you're not the best at something and maybe you're too full up to learn how to be better at it and make it be the functional thing that you want it to be. So find someone on your team to help you with it.
Right.
Like you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people get hung up. It's like, oh, but I'm a musician and I gotta write the songs and I gotta produce the songs and I gotta do the marketing and the Facebook ads and the website. Okay, well find somebody else on your team to just do a little bit of one of those things.
Right.
Dude, I just got my next single is I wrote it. I had a producer produce it. I sent it off for guitar, sent it off for drums. I have to go cut vocals. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm doing more of that with my music than I am with this, just because I could learn all of the newest shit, but
Right.
I do have people I trust to
Yeah.
do it for me. So it's like whatever camp you're in.
You definitely, like, no matter what camp you're in, though, you need to have, like, more than one camp. You can't just be the diva creating wondrous things and then expect 25 people to arise from the ashes
Yeah.
and do all the rest of it for you. It's
sure.
it's not a reasonable expectation.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people don't really realize that's what they're doing.
Even if you're looking for like a label or management, you have to do something impressive on your own
Dude,
first.
Managers are like pushing their artists to like actually do crap all the time.
Yeah.
You know? And like
But yeah,
we're getting a little off topic, but I guess what I'm saying is like a website builder is not going to do all the things for you. And that's why there's no
Right.
perfect solution.
right. And the more that you want it to be super easy, the less good it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree.
The last thing that I'll say on this point, talking about expectations and like having something that functions, is like Cirque was saying, if you're putting something up and just saying, I just need something to be there and that's fine. You need to have an expectation of what you're wanting something to do for you. So just saying, I want to have a website because website, that means nothing.
Yeah.
And you'll have no measurable like result to look for
Yeah.
when you look back at all your hard work, whether you're doing it yourself or whether you have a team doing it for you. If you're trying to get better at something, have a goal of what you want that something to do for you so that you can look back and say,
Right.
it did a thing, I grew, and
Right.
now I can make it better and better and better and improve upon it.
I think if you're an indie musician and you have a very small to medium-sized fan base, when I go to your website, the first thing I should be able to do is opt in for an exclusive offer that I like, that's cool to me.
Yeah.
The second thing I should be able to do if I don't do that is buy something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like as a tertiary, try a different opt-in, like a text or a ManyChat. Mm-hmm. And there could be a store, but probably shouldn't be, depending on how close to brand new you are. And you should trend more towards single offers in the beginning. If you're Bruno Mars level, I should be able to buy something first, then opt in.
Yeah.
Right.
IMO, which is why it's
Well,
awesome
but
that his
like-
website does that.
Right. Well, and buying kind of option because you put in your email
Totally.
for
You
shipping
are,
update.
Yeah, you're
you know?
customer data now. Yeah.
So like, may as well just go straight for it if you have that level of traffic.
As Ryan Dice calls it, the throat grabber.
Yeah. That's appropriate. I like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So I think like that's like something again that the founder program is going through right now. They're in week 1 and they're looking through the buddy system, which I know everyone's like, oh, the buddy system, psychology, right? But what we're doing is we're applying the technical understanding of the buddy system. Like you're on your website. What things are on your website and are supporting these different pieces of the buddy system?
Right.
You've got a permission campaign.
What can you assume about the average person who's on your website?
Yeah. How is your tech stack working for you
Right.
in the buddy system? Is there a stage where you have nothing for people to get to
Right.
the next step? So your website, when you're looking at your website, is it doing what it wants? Like, you know, a picture is what? Intro.
Right.
It is like the lowest level of the buddy system.
Also, like
it's
your
not the highest priority.
Spotify embed. I don't need to ever see that because if
I hate it so much.
if I'm going to use it, I have Spotify, which means
Like if you want to put like a Spotify button on like a music page that's in like the secondary nav, fine.
I don't even know why people
know?
have music and video sections of their website. I don't. I mean, I get it. Like, I'm not stupid, but like, I don't get why.
Well, people get EPK and websites mixed up.
Right.
And they
For
feel
sure.
like, and ever since the websites became like a one-page scroll thing,
Right.
people started mixing up one-sheets with websites.
Yeah, the lines have been really blurred.
Yeah, and so people are like, oh, your website should serve as an EPK. No, you should have a hidden link.
We should assume that you have no fans, but tons of label attention, and they want to see relevant information.
Exactly, right. So,
Yeah.
no, if you have an EPK that's like the pretty pictures and the bio and the blah, 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 like
That really speaks to this like plague that a lot of musicians have is they think they're B2B.
Yeah.
They think that their customer is like an agent or
Right.
like a manager or a label.
Nobody cares about your music if you're not making money.
Yeah.
No manager will sign
Nobody
you.
cares. Yeah.
It's true though.
Scooter Braun's not out there looking for you.
That's such a good point though. Like for so many musicians, like I mean, you hear them talk about it. Like, oh, like
How do I get some brand partnerships?
What's your goal? What's your goal? What's your goal? To get signed. Maybe a brand deal. How about you get some customers, man?
Right,
like
right.
sell some stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what the brand is finding. Like, okay, so
What is your goal? Have you ever heard of the Greater Fools Theory?
yeah. So
I want to find me one of them.
I think when you're talking about a website, you have to think about like these stages, like moving people from getting to know who you are to opting in, giving you permission to give them something,
Right.
nurturing them to the point where they'll make their first sale, or where you make your first sale, they make their first purchase, then where they make another purchase, then they start advocating for you, right? Like your website should be doing that. And I would even posture that if you're like on this one-page layout format, have it do it in those stages as you go.
Right.
Skip intro and introduction and education. I mean,
Because they're already there.
Skip
They're
right to
already there.
Yeah,
They
they
already got that.
probably know who you are.
permission. And if they've already opted in, then have a fucking, nurturing sequence or permission.
So
They didn't stumble upon your
regardless
website.
of what level you're at,
Yeah.
we know that like I shouldn't know anything else before I know that I can opt in for an offer that's
Yeah.
cool and it's not get updates or buy something hopefully exclusive, hopefully with a time limited coupon.
those are
something
the
on
two hardest things to do. Wouldn't you say, like in all of the
Most
history,
website builders don't do those two things
Yeah.
the way that you want them to.
and most artists are struggling in getting opt-ins and making sales. Those are the two things that they struggle with the most.
Yes. Yeah.
Is like have your website do the hard lifting
The
for
last
you.
thing that your artist website needs is links to social. They probably came from social.
Yeah.
Don't link them back out to social.
I mean, I put them on there because they're pretty, and I put them in like the footer. Like,
That's fine.
Make them
Footer's fine.
make
and
them
I'll tell you
small.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
right now, I have Heat Map installed on all my clients'
Nobody
stuff.
goes there.
Nobody
Yeah.
clicks it. They might click on the Spotify one
Yeah.
and put it at the bottom.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so
it.
bad.
Bury your spot. You don't need, before you have the opt-in and the buy option, like one product. Doesn't have to be a store. One
Right,
product.
right.
With an
Make it
upsell.
special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make it special.
Make it something really cool.
the starter kit, right?
A starter kit. They went to
Yeah.
your freaking website. They sought you out.
That was
Right.
hard. It wasn't
Give
easy.
them an offer.
They
that's
actually
cool.
typed something.
Yeah.
They didn't click. Probably. They typed.
Dude,
Yeah.
a huge percentage of our agency clients have a smaller web activity custom audience from Pixel Activity
Right.
than their Facebook audience, their IG engagement audience, whatever. Like site activity is a little bit better. You
It
know?
is better. It's better quality.
Yeah.
And so my favorite
Yeah.
thing that I've ever seen on an artist website was a pop-up that basically was a literal one-time offer
Right.
and led to a freaking ClickFunnels checkout.
Smart.
And like, because
Smart. Yeah.
and they're like, I know I'm kind of skipping. And they asked me, they're like, I know I'm kind of skipping.
Do you remember
a
what the
step
offer?
here.
Do you remember what the offer was?
Yeah, the offer was, it was a free plus shipping and handling funnel.
That's
Yeah.
dope.
And then
Yeah.
the upsell take was huge because site traffic is actually far
Really
higher
warm.
intent
That's so
than
dope.
people
Yeah.
think.
What an awesome indie.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's right.
And they shall
So dope.
remain nameless for now. But like, I think that that's something, that website did exactly. He was like, I got plenty of opt-ins. I got plenty
Right.
of people on my mailing list. They're not buying.
Also, the step one of the two-step checkout form is an opt-in.
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah. And you can get abandoned carts. Yeah.
So, but he was doing
fine.
it without, he was worried about the buddy system. Like, am I
Right.
skipping a step? And it's like, yeah, but if they're on your site, you can kind of get away with it because it's your site. Do
here's-
what you want.
Well, here's the cool thing about a setup like that is the website and the order form for ClickFunnels are accomplishing introduction,
Yeah.
education,
Right.
permission,
It's all
affirmation
happening.
right there.
Yeah.
Which we don't advise that you skip steps, but site traffic is high enough and
But let's say introduction is
already
accomplished.
warmed
They're
up.
already introduced, so the website has that out of the way.
Right.
So
exactly.
we're hardly even really skipping steps.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I would agree.
It's dangerous, but
people
the site
don't-
is the one exception.
People really don't want to check out your website, man. Like, no matter
Yeah.
how much they like you.
Yeah.
I don't like, who am I listening to? Aries. I'm listening to Aries right now. I probably will never check out his
Dude,
website.
I can't remember. Like,
I'm gonna check out his website after this.
It seems like it would be actually probably, if he has one, it's probably cool.
But I think like for the last time that I was on an artist site that didn't have to do with me like swiping or scoping out their branding or like checking their pixels because I'm a nosy butt.
Right.
Like the last time that happened was a really long time ago. And maybe it's because I'm in marketing.
Social. You go to their social.
Yeah. Like I'm
Or
like,
Spotify.
show-
That's what everyone does.
yeah, I want to look at like, I want to
Which
look
is
at what
why
they're
it sucks
actually
that we
doing.
don't have links out from Spotify or control of the user experience.
Right.
Yep.
Well, you know what? That also might be caused though because I know artist sites suck 99% of the time.
Right.
So I may not go to their site because
I'm
I'm,
doing
like,
you
it's
a
gonna be
favor.
dumb anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna waste my time.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna think
So-
less of you, so I won't go
Right.
here.
I love you and I don't want to go away from it.
I think even if your site is just opt in and buy now in whatever order, depending on
Yep.
what level you're at. Like if you're Bruno Mars, buy now first, you know?
Yeah.
And less that as you get less Bruno Marsy
Yeah.
in terms of level of audience. If it was just that, I can't scroll. There's nothing else. I do one of those two things or I
Tour
leave.
dates. Tour
And
dates was the last thing that I did that was
Yeah.
not because I was scoping someone out. There
and
was
not
a
a
friend's
shitty
band on
integration.
tour.
We almost forgot that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ability to, but it's mostly integrations. Like the best way to do it right now is integrations. There's
Yeah.
no native tour functionality that's like serious.
If you're selling tickets yourself on your Shopify store, there's some ninja stuff you can do to
Yeah.
make tour dates lit.
There's probably add-ons.
Yeah. And so like you can actually use like Shopify embed tools to have your tour dates show
Right.
and have basically ticket view content
Right.
on it. So like
cool.
that's legit.
Outside of
but a lot
those
of people
three
aren't
things.
selling their own tickets. You
Yeah,
know,
they're
venues
using
are selling it.
Bandsintown with the stock colors.
Yeah. Or they're
Major
using
label
venues.
artists are using Bandsintown with the stock blue,
Yeah.
green.
Oh
Aqua.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, light or dark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, but that's because that's all that they offer, you know.
it's bananas.
Yeah, but
blows
so
my mind.
otherwise, like I mean, and it's a good integration, and you know,
Bandsintown's great. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah, they
not-
message people. You can.
I've never clicked a Bandsintown, clearly a Bandsintown embed, and been properly pixeled after.
No.
Never happened in my life.
No, you won't. But and if you're playing like Ticketmaster exclusive venues and you can't sell them yourself because the venue is like no, then yeah, go with Bands in Town. But otherwise, there's some ninja stuff you can do.
Aside from opt-in, buy now, and tour, I don't care. Like nothing else needs to be there as long as it's all tracked. Like if I click buy now, it's add to cart, tracked to Facebook. If I purchase, value data goes back to Facebook and the product I purchase. If I have that, I don't need Spotify. I don't need a music and videos and bio section.
Right.
None of that. Because at least, I mean, sure, it'd be better if I had that and that in the right sequence.
Right.
But at least it's way better that a few people might not have read your bio, like literally 2 or 3 people ever in the history of your website will miss out
Right.
on that opportunity. But you're not losing customers and subscribers
Yeah.
anymore every
Right.
single day.
Well, absolutely. And the thing is, there are other tools out there that people are more likely to use, consumers are likely to use that will do that for you.
Right.
Spotify bio, right? YouTube will display your videos.
Right.
Like if you're putting that all on your site and you're just using someone else's tool to do it anyway, and it's not the prime place that they want to be, you're missing out on opportunity on those platforms. So like,
Yeah.
don't like get your site full of it. Just like let people who use those tools and use your site to your advantage, not third-party Spotify advantage. Like use your page for you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can buy right now that will do everything we've discussed here is a degree in Python and like HTML and CSS and JavaScript.
Yeah.
Like if you know all that PHP, you can do everything we just said.
All the things.
But if you don't, you're
extra.
limited. Yeah.
Yeah, for
exactly. And I don't know any of those things. I know a little bit of HTML and CSS.
Yeah.
So
A little bit of Swift.
we're constantly on this search for the thing that represents most of what we want. Right now it's WordPress and Thrive Architect, but I don't know that I could recommend
you.
that. Yeah. And plus Member Mouse is our cart. If we didn't have a membership style business,
Right.
we would need a better cart, and all of the
for
options there are
sure.
more expensive, more difficult to use, less tracking functionality, less design flexibility. So
Yeah.
it's a nightmare on WordPress too.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
we're here to help you navigate this awful, awful nightmare you found yourself in of ways to build an artist website.
Yeah, man.
That's what this month is all about. I think
sure.
we've kicked it off right. I think we got some good guidelines laid down, right?
yeah,
so, too.
got some ranting out.
Yeah, pretty
good
deep,
therapy.
pretty deep conversation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So definitely don't say I need something super simple,
Right.
because you're gonna get a simple result from that.
Say,
Absolutely.
if you're going to use the word simple, then say, I need something simple that will accomplish X for me and define that X well.
Right.
Yeah.
And by simple, we don't mean minimalist.
No.
Simple,
No.
we mean like, I want to just put like 5 words into my phone and it automatically feeds and I'm done.
Right.
Like, that's what we mean by simple.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I totally agree with that. You know, I just have an empathy problem. I have overactive empathy. Even though it's not even something, that's why it's not sympathy. It's empathy because I feel it even though I've never done that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know anyone who's done something cool who is like, yeah, just
Whip this up.
Yeah.
went for the simplest thing that I could find, and I didn't really learn much about it, and it all worked out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
That said, you guys have been great. Thank you so much for joining us.
We're in person.
Yeah.
What
This
a
is
blast.
amazing.
We'll have to do this more often,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like quarterlies or something like that.
I know. I was here in August, like almost a year ago.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
like, yeah, we're going to do this.
We could ramp
And
it
then
up.
we just,
start
like-
with 6 months, and then we'll be at weekly in no time.
Right, exactly.
We'll be living here. We'll be living here.
Yeah, yeah.
Living in the office.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next week on Creative Juice. All right. Word. Peace out,
Awesome.
Indies.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
Can y'all really feel us? East Coast, feel us. West Coast, feel me. Say what?